But we're
Oh,
about to go live. We're going live right now.
yes, we are. We made it. Were we not live at all?
No. We I guess I never hit confirm that last little
So we
little
thought we
little
were live for
detail.
minutes and we were just going back and forth for no reason.
Yeah, it was only about 2.5 minutes there, and we were enjoying the music for a second there.
That's true.
But for those of you for who missed it, this is all we were doing.
That's what we're jamming to. We got lost. Live.
Just discussing how crazy it's been lately. It was a crazy week, but the topic of the day is interviewing your agent, right? How important it is to actually have an agent that's experienced or that has knowledge or access to knowledge. So as you were describing to me before we went live here, what is the role of the agent?
We are the ones that connect the pieces of the transaction, making sure, you're connected to the attorney, the lender, we answer any questions. If we don't know the answer, we know who to contact to get the answer.
Yeah. So, yeah. So as I was saying, the glue.
The glue.
We are the glue. Yeah. So we're what keeps the deal together, right? We basically are there to do a few things. We're there to make sure everybody else is doing their job, which is very important. But we're there to guide people through the process. The agent is there to kind of help interpret the information, tell the buyers where to go, tell the sellers where to go, where they should be getting answers for certain things, and then guiding them through the process. When I do my home buyer classes, I tell them, you say the destination, I'll tell you if and how we can get there, right?
Exactly.
There might be a couple different ways, right? Couple different paths, but we'll look at all the options and see which way best fits them, right?
There's usually, like, depending on the situation, there could be way more than a couple. That's real crazy.
Right, hold on. Let me see. Oh, we got a hello. Hola. How you doing?
What's up?
So interviewing your agent, this is something that, when we talk to the home buyer class, I tell people, how to find an agent, right? How should you find an agent? And a lot of, most of our business is through referrals. It's through past clients sending us people that know us, right? Mm-hmm. And in this business, you definitely have to have a lot of trust. Right, you got to have a lot of trust with the person that you're working with, because when you're buying, you're gonna basically spend more money than you're ever gonna spend in your whole life, right? So you want to make sure you trust that person. So that's why you find a lot of people do through referrals, because they have a family or friend who had a good relationship and they trusted, so therefore it's easier for them to trust, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't still ask questions. Just because you know somebody doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have your best interests, at heart, or that they even understand what it is that you're looking to do, right? So it's important to ask questions of your agents. And when I say experienced and access to knowledge, it doesn't necessarily mean you've got to have a brand new agent, right? Right. I've seen brand new agents show up and kill it. Right. I've seen brand new agents, deliver, service and, far above what I've seen sometimes experienced agents. Right. So, it's because they have access to knowledge. Right. Yep. They either have a good broker, or they've got a good relationship or a good network with other real estate agents that have knowledge. And this is something we've always, you've heard me say a bunch of times, there's no book, right, that tells us how to do all this, right? There's no. Obviously we've got the book for the test. We've got books. There's all sorts of books, right? But there's no all encompassing, like, this is how every deal is going to be, right? This is how it's always going to work, because there's so many different variables, as you know. Yep. Even after doing this for, 15 plus years, I still run into stuff sometimes. I'm like, how are we gonna deal with this, or what's the best course of action for something like this? I'm sure you know the same thing, right?
That's what makes this job so interesting is no two transactions are the same. And I say this in first-time homebuyer classes. I always get asked, like, how things work. And I go, well, every house is different. Every attorney's different. Every lender's different. Every buyer's different. Every seller's different. So imagine having all those pieces, and there is no direct path. Everything is always different. So it's
Yeah.
really, yeah, it's crazy.
You know, it's also important for people to understand, and agents too. You know, as an agent, it is tough to sometimes not be too helpful and do somebody's job that you're not able to do, right? As you know, we're not an attorney, right? We're not a home inspector. As much as we want to, you know, advise you on certain things, right? We're not a legal advisor, right? You know, we're not, you know, going to be able to do certain things. And, you know, it's definitely important to make sure that you've got an agent that understands it as well. That you don't have an agent that's giving you legal advice. You know, you don't have an agent that's telling you, oh, that electrical problem's not an issue, you know? So definitely be careful about that. Now, what do you think are important questions for buyers or sellers to ask agents?
A big one is availability. You know, is the agent part-time? Are they full-time? Especially in this market. Can you hear me? It looks like you can't hear me.
No, I can hear you. I was asking April something real quick.
In this market, you know, you have to see houses right away. And if you're working with a part-time agent and they're only able to show you houses on Saturday because that's their only day off, you know, that might not work in your favor.
Yep.
Right. That's like the big thing right now. You know, and I get asked like if I know any, you know, good lenders, you know, good attorneys, like who I work with. Yeah, things like that. You know, make sure you make sure your agent is connected, and basically.
Yeah, and you know, and when you ask your agent a question, you know, it is fine for your agent to say, you know, let me get back to you with an answer.
Yes.
You know, because there's not going to be a single person that's all knowledgeable for everything, right? But make sure they get back to you with an answer. Right. Yeah. Don't allow somebody to not answer or not give you some sort of guidance. Right. So make sure, you know, you're asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
And I always say up front is I don't have the answers to everything. I know a lot. I've been doing this a while, but I know somebody that knows the answer. I know where to go to if I need something.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, especially with the internet these days, you know, all of us, we've all got access. Well, again, we've got access to brokers, we've got access to other agents we deal with, and then we've got there's tons of networking, you know, groups and, you know, all sorts of resources that people can pull from in order to, you know, best figure it out how they can help their clients. Right now, for sellers especially, get a second opinion. Get a second opinion, and so this is something that happened. I've seen. Okay, this is what we'll say. I've seen this a situation where, you know, we've had, you know, people come to us, you know, for a CMA, and you know, I mean, I guess we can talk about what a CMA is, but just for those of you who don't know what a CMA is, it's a comparative market analysis. It's essentially just a report that an agent can provide, you know, that can give you a comparison to similar properties. Right, to give you a general idea of what, you know, your property might be worth. Now, when someone asks someone who's licensed for a price opinion or a CMA, you know, this is really something that should be in writing, right? It's something that, you know, if a licensed person's providing you with some sort of estimate or recommendation, you want to see the facts, right? You want to see, you know, why it is that they're telling you, you know, your property may or may not be worth a certain amount. You want to see, you know, what it is that they know about the neighborhood. For one, you know, can they provide you information? You know, do they have access to information? And whatever it is, get another opinion. Get another opinion on a CMA, you know, for your property. You know, we've seen situations where people come to us and they've had, you know, a CMA done, and, you know, didn't get something in writing, right? Yeah. You know, they just got a price. And, you know, we've seen $80,000, $100,000 difference from what we're thinking it's worth. You know, so especially in today's market, because we're seeing prices go up so fast, right? That doesn't necessarily mean certain areas shouldn't be seeing prices increases, right? So you know, it's almost like you see a certain area and it's like, well, of course that's not going to be worth as much as these other properties, right? And so, you know, it is very important that you get more than one opinion. You get more than one opinion. I mean, they tell you that when you go to do an addition or work with contractor, 3 opinions. You should get 3 opinions, right?
I think that's a buyers get for lenders. Get more than one quote for a loan. Ask questions. See who has the best to offer you.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing is, you know, if an agent's giving you a price, why? What evidence do they have to support that price? Right. And a lot of times what we typically do is we're doing CMAs and we don't give an exact price, because I mean, I don't have a magic ball.
Yeah.
Right. We're never gonna know what the exact price of your house is. And whatever I say is that it don't matter, because your house is worth what the market brings. That's the market value, is what somebody else is willing to pay, not what I think your house is worth. And you know, an appraisal doesn't tell you what the market value is, right? That just tells you, you know, what the bank is willing to lend on. You know, we've seen people pay above market value or market appraisal price, right? So appraisal is not an indication of value, right? The actual sale is the indication of how much that property is worth. You know, so when we do a CMA, we're giving you a range. You know, you should be getting data to review. You should have some sort of supporting evidence to say, hey, you know, these houses are somewhat similar to yours, and this is the general range as to where your property is going to fit. And based on the market, you know, you then decide how you're going to position yourself in that range, right? You know, seller's market, you're on the top end of that. Maybe even you're going to break that and go above it. The market's it's buyer's market, and then we know we're probably on the lower end of that range, right? You know, and does your agent explain that to you? And that's really what you need to make sure is happening. Now, just for sellers and actually for agents too, I want to share a couple things. Let's see if I can bring this up right here.
Hi, Alicia. She's still watching. She just
I'm not sure. All right, let's see here.
I think she posted that a while ago.
Boom, boom,
All right,
we got it.
Yes.
Hey. All right. So this is just a tool. This is actually a pretty good tool for anybody. We actually have a question. Why are mortgages hard for self-employed? So it actually, so what it comes down to is proving your income, right? And a lot of times we find that people who are starting out businesses, you know, they may have more expenses, right? Or write-offs on that business. So just because you made a certain amount of money doesn't necessarily mean that's what you got taxed on, right? So a lot of times we find that, you know, when someone who's self-employed or has recently started some sort of business, they may not necessarily be able to count all the income they think that they're actually, you know, cash flow that they actually got coming in, because you've got other expenses and all that stuff. And especially in your early years of a business, you're trying to write off as much as possible, right?
Everything, yes.
Yeah, you ain't making no money. So, you know, even though you got flow coming in to pay all your bills, that doesn't mean the bank, in the eyes of the bank, that you've got cash to pay off other debt or take on additional debt, right? Yeah. So, but everybody's scenario is completely different. So what we do is we connect you with the lender who can talk about your personal situation, and then they can figure out, you know, what it is that you need to do to get yourself ready. And if you're not ready now, then we can come up with a plan to get you ready down in the future. Typically, we're looking at like 2 years of income. Yep. And if you have, let's say you have a ton of write-offs this year, that doesn't necessarily mean you got to wait 2 years in order to buy, because a lot of times they'll do like an average, right? Somehow of the 2 years, or depending on the business and all that stuff. So, you know, there's no, I guess there's no general answer for everybody. But those are some of the complications that a lot of times we run into. The other thing is for self-employed people who do seasonal work. If you have some sort of business where it's not, income coming in at a steady rate throughout the year, that is something else as well that could potentially affect when you qualify, especially seasonal workers. Let's say you're a landscaper, you own your own business, and you're not, you don't have cash flow over the winter. And, if you have especially if you're an employee, I guess at that point you wouldn't be self-employed, but I've seen situations where if you don't have cash flow certain parts of the year, you got to show that you've got income coming in when you go to close. So, that might affect when it is that you're actually, able to close.
And I know
Good question though.
I know if it's a new business, if you're just starting out, they want to see a certain amount of growth from one year to the next.
Yeah. They don't want to make sure you're not a failing business.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to pay for this mortgage? You probably, I know you've heard me say it a million times, right? If I was giving out, $200,000, $300,000, I'd be asking for more stuff than what the bank's asking today.
Days, man. Fingerprints and blood pretty soon, next 10 years, watch.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this website, this is FHFA.gov. So this is Federal Housing Finance Agency. This is actually a pretty cool tool. I'm gonna come down here. It's the house price calculator.
Oh,
let's
I haven't seen this.
If we can calculate. I got my calculator. All right, ready? So what's interesting about this is that it's much different than what we see for automated systems, right? You're familiar with RPR and you see our other online estimates. I don't want to name any.
No,
let's just say there are other online estimates that we're all familiar with. But the FHFA, the housing price index calculator. So what it does is it actually looks at different metropolitan areas across the whole country, right? And it does different statistics and shows how prices have changed or are potentially growing in certain areas over certain times. Now, it's much different from these other systems where we put an address in, right? We're so used to popping in an address.
Yep.
And then, hey, what's the number of bedrooms, square footage, and all that stuff. Well, this is not like that. All right. But what's interesting about this, all right, so let's go in and we'll just start with
and I haven't seen this, so I'm learning along with everyone.
Yeah, sorry. We're in Massachusetts. You know how I learned this from?
Where'd you learn this from?
Oh, you're gonna be like, oh, of course. You don't even want to guess? It's a national person. I know you love this person.
National person? Is it Lee Brown?
It's Lee Brown.
Lee Brown.
That is so funny. Yeah. This was actually in one of her listing classes that I took with her. Again, just another tool, right? Realtors have access to so many different ways to try to price a property, a million different ways, right? And you really shouldn't even be doing it one different way. You should be doing it a couple different ways. That way you have, the more information you have, the better decision the seller can actually make, right? And then you can obviously, let them know, hey, this is what this is, what this information is from. This is how they, figure this out, and then have the discussion how you're going to price it. But what's really cool about this is that you put in the when you bought the property, right? So you're not putting in the address or anything like that, just when you bought the property.
Okay.
Right. And the purchase price.
Okay.
Okay. And then you put in when you want to know the value is at a later date. Okay. So let's say, yes. So let's say we bought a property, and it goes by quarters, which is kind of cool. Okay. So let's say we bought a house at the beginning of 2016, right? And then this available MSAs, this is the metropolitan statistical area. So this is Springfield, because obviously that's our area. So it's just the statistical area for Springfield. And this is the quarter one. So let's say you bought a house quarter one, all right? And then the most recent is quarter three, which is fall of last year, but quarter four should be up anytime. But quarter three, so most recent date, all right? So we bought it. Let's say we bought it for $200.
Or $20.
Worth $2 million. All right. All right. So $200,000.
Okay.
And then we're gonna calculate. All right. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna tell us if you paid $200,000 in quarter one of 2016, it's gonna tell us what how much the prices have changed in that area on an average. Not telling you necessarily exactly what your house is worth, obviously, because they don't know all those details, but based on what you bought it for and how much the prices have changed, it's going to show you what the difference should be. Does that make sense? Yep. All right. So this is obviously good information.
Wait,
interesting. What do you think? You want to take a guess?
2016 to 2020, I would say it'll be 237. 237 is my guess.
I think you're going to be close. 243.
Oh, it's close. I'll take it.
243. All right. So what? Again, a cool tool, to have access to. This is a government website. Now, again, that 243, depending on your house, because you could have bought a $200,000 fixer upper, and someone else could have bought a $200,000 brand new move-in property, right? So, so it doesn't take into account, condition, and there are other factors to consider. However, this is kind of cool.
Yeah,
this is kind of cool. So, what's cool about it is, if you have somebody who has bought, let's say within the past couple of years, it's only been a handful of years, and they haven't done much, right? Or the house is, obviously, let's say it was redone when they bought it, and they didn't necessarily need to do much. It's been 2 or 3 years. That, probably would be a little bit more accurate. Again, not 100% accurate, because as we know, the government is always slow, and these numbers are behind, usually a little bit behind. But, again, it's still a cool tool.
I mean, from 2020 third quarter, I would say that's probably increased a good 10 grand since then.
Yeah. So what it did was, the estimated value for the state, if it was just $200,000 spent in the state and not specifically the greater Springfield area, then the value would have gone up to 268. All right. So as you've seen, from what we saw for years, when we looked at our numbers, with Springfield was always behind. The rest of the state had already recovered, 2016 was it what it was. So it was only like a year and a half, 2 years ago that Springfield finally passed, our pre-crash numbers. So it is interesting to see that, depending on where you bought, obviously you could have had way more gain, on the value of your house. And that's why it's important to get an agent, right?
Yeah.
That's why important. Very important, because as a homeowner, you're going to look at this, and unless you understand what this means, comparing it to some other stuff, you can't just rely on everything you see online, right? We all know that. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to show, I mean, since we're on the topic of just showing, some of this stuff here, I'm actually going to show, just what RPR looks like. And I know you know what this looks like, but
yeah.
Why not? Why not do this? All right. So, again, just letting people know that agents have access to tons and tons of data. All right. And what's really cool about this system, this is actually RPR. And actually, I should have said this at the beginning, as part of our conversation about interviewing an agent, finding out if they're a realtor.
Yes. Thank you. Exactly.
Hold on.
The point. Wait. Hold on. Right there.
All right, go ahead and make your point.
bam.
Go ahead. I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead and make your point.
The point is, so I've actually done some mass appeal about this on the news, talking about the importance of choosing a realtor. Not only do we have access to all sorts of information, we go to one place, the association, get all sorts of information. Not only that, if you are a property owner, we're the only organization that goes out there and fights for homeowner rights. So if you own a house or you want to own a house, choose a realtor, because we're the ones that are going to our legislators. We're the ones pushing for your rights as a homeowner. So choose a realtor. Anything else to add?
Very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm very passionate about being a realtor. I've got it tattooed on my body.
Yeah. So there is, and everyone thinks just because people sells a house that they're a realtor. That is not the case. It is the Realtor Association is a victim of its own branding success, right? To the point where they you got a group of marketers, right? Real estate agents who are really good at marketing, and they were so good at marketing that this realtor thing, that anybody that sells real estate, people are like, oh, that's a realtor.
Nope.
That's not the case. That's not the case.
It's like everyone calls a tissue a Kleenex, and it's like, no, that's the brand. That's not the
yeah, exactly. So in order to be a realtor, you actually have to be a member of the Realtor Association, right? So there's a couple different levels. You got your local, your state, and your national. But really, it's the National Association of Realtors. And as Arlene said, it's the largest trade organization. It's also one of the only organizations that does fight on behalf of home ownership, because there is no there are homeowner associations.
Yes,
but they're there to tell you what the color of your house and what you can and cannot park in your driveway. So they're not there to make sure that you're not getting taxed on certain things when you go to sell a house, or that you're going to be required to do additional inspections and stuff, or forced to do stuff to your property when you go to sell, as opposed to doing like as-is sales and stuff like that. So the association is there, and the realtors also have to abide by the code of ethics.
No code of ethics.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got the code of ethics, which is, there is a higher, standard there. We've got our realtor court too, I guess you could say, right? So we do have a method of, reprimanding and dealing with people who aren't necessarily following the rules, which is good. And if you're not a realtor, you don't have those same, things, kind of making sure that you're, staying within where you should be doing, I guess. Yeah,
it's like for us, we can go to the association and get everything we need in one place. If you're not a realtor, you have to get all this information yourself. You have to figure out who has what, where to get what. And I always say that I get agents all the time. For all you realtors out there that don't understand why you are paying dues, last year is proof why you're paying dues. If it wasn't for the association, you would not be eligible for unemployment. Like, we're the realtors went out there and fought for us to be part of unemployment when COVID happened. And that was just one huge thing, but not to mention all the information we have access to. That if you're not a realtor, that you have to seek on your own.
Tons of information, and that's brings me back to this. Look at this. Look at that. Full circle.
Yep. Provided by the association.
Yeah. So this website here is RPR. So only realtors have access to RPR. All right. And so this is actually hold on. I thought my music my music did miss out for a second there, but we're good.
We got too excited about being realtors.
Yeah, I don't know. I did something. Yeah, right. All right. So this system is RPR. All right. Now this is a system that only realtors have access to. All right. This has more information in it than the Library of Congress. All right. This has got access to MLS. Right. So realtors
Yeah.
This has got pulls from your MLS, right? This also has access to public records. It's got access to, town data, school data, all sorts of information. I'm just going to show you a little teaser. All sorts of information. It does do automated pricing on a confidence scale. And if you don't know how to use the system, it can
screw you up.
When you look at it, you're like, oh, it's worth what? Hold on. And so you do have to do your own CMA just to compare and all that stuff, but it allows you to do all that in the system, which is great. So again, realtors have access to this. We've all got access to this information. It's just knowing how to use it and how to go through it properly.
It is an overwhelming amount of information when you do the whole report, the whole seller's report. Data, it's insane.
Yeah. So all right. So let's just look at Springfield. All right. So again, just some of the stuff that we have access to in here. We've got median estimated home values right off the bat, sales prices versus sales volumes, listing price versus listing volume. So it's pretty interesting to see some of these graphs so you can kind of see how things have been going over the past couple of years. Again, as you can see, we've got tons of school information in here. What's a school nearby? I can see what grades. Got contact information if I want to call over there for some questions. Got school ratings, also some listings nearby. So agents are able to get in here and again use this system. And because agents have access to this, their clients hugely benefit, right? And what's nice, what I like messing around with is these maps. I know I've shown you this. I know you've played with around these a couple times, but I always think it's interesting to show people this. So there's a couple different heat maps, or we're calling them heat maps. All right, so let's see, estimated home values. So what this does is it just shows you the darker the number. Darker the color, the higher the price, and the lighter the color, usually the lower the price. So you can see in terms of areas how prices, get a little bit higher as you're going outside the city. Another interesting one was, hold on here, housing density. All right, so if you were looking to live in an area that's a little bit more rural, or if you're just interested in terms of how compact the houses are. Obviously, we know Springfield, those lots, we're not talking about half acre, acre lots typically around Springfield, right? Where, usually 1/10 of an acre is, a lot of places are 1/10 of an acre. Between that and a 1/4 acre is usually what we're seeing, right? So that's why we got that, little bit more congestion there. And I was actually, well, how many places, do we see red? And it's really got to get to like Boston, but we're really seeing like super concentration.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But again, really good information for agents to have access to. Here we go. Flood zones. Oh, of course you're not going to. It doesn't want to show it right now.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
What's the one question we can't answer when it comes? So they ask us, a buyer asks us a certain question that we can't answer.
What's the question that we can't answer?
When we're at a house and they're asking us questions about the house and the area, what can't we answer?
Now you got me stumped.
You know the answer. There's something that we get asked a lot that we say we can't answer. And the reason, unless we live directly in the area.
I'm like, hold on. What are we talking about? Hold on. Crime. What type of neighborhood is it?
Oh, James got it.
Is this a good neighborhood?
That's it. The realtor gets it.
See, of course he knows.
Of course he knows.
He's always getting these answers right. He's been doing this long enough. He knows. Because it's an opinion.
Yep. Our tolerance is different.
It's an opinion. Yeah, man. Because I'm sitting there thinking like, this is a great neighborhood. And I've lived there my whole life. This is awesome. Yeah, man, I have barbecues here all the time. What are you talking about? And then like
Yeah.
No, this is what? It's an opinion.
It is. I mean, I've sold houses where I'm like, there's no way I'm selling this house because it's in like the worst area. And then they're like, I love it. It's amazing. And I never say anything because I can't. But yeah, I get asked that almost every time. How's this neighborhood?
So, basically, what people need to understand is that you're an adult. You're about to spend money, right? You're about to do an adult thing. So you're going to have to get yourself educated.
You have to self-responsibility.
Drive by.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with a location, drive by, right? Check with the police department. You can go to the police department and find out what kind of calls certain areas get. You can find out, what type of calls, how many, stuff like that. But the other thing is crime happens everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Crime happens everywhere. I mean, I've seen, I had my car broken into. I mean, crime happens everywhere. I remember growing up hey, I'm living in a single family neighborhood and thinking like, hey, yeah, this is great and everything. And, what's wrong with our area? Nothing. And then I remember, oh yeah, there was like 6 or 7 houses that got broken into. Crime happens.
It does.
Crime happens, right? Obviously, you're making a big investment. And I understand you don't want to be putting yourself or your family into any type of bad situation, so it's legit to ask those types of questions, but it's an opinion, right? And an agent do not let an agent tell you, oh, don't buy a house in this neighborhood. This is a bad area, or that's a good area. All right. Because it's an opinion. Mm-hmm. I've seen agents. I've heard agents. Oh, you don't want to buy in that area. Right. No, that's a bad neighborhood. Really? Like, I grew up in that neighborhood. What's wrong with this neighborhood?
Exactly. The tolerance is different.
What's wrong with this neighborhood? Right. So it's all an opinion, and you need to make that decision for yourself. Look at that's right. I grew up in a neighborhood. They used to crush pumpkins on a car, but that happens kind of anywhere, right?
May not have
that can happen anywhere. We crushing pumpkins. I hate to. I probably shouldn't even say this. Oh my goodness.
Hey, we were
This is bad. All right.
Get real.
Get real. And I feel, you know what? Did you ever go trick-or-treating with us?
Yeah, a couple times. For
those of you who don't know, me and Arlie have known each other for a while. But did you go with us that time that we moved all the for sale signs?
No, I heard about it though. I definitely heard
about it. I remember one time it was during Halloween, we were trick-or-treating and we moved, I don't know, like 4 or 5 for sale signs, and we just put them on other houses. I mean, we didn't like damage them or anything like that, but I thought that was hilarious.
You get called. Yes. Like, that was my house.
That was my house. Yes. And what was funny is was it the year that I graduated? Now I'm not even sure if Cathedral, one of the years, the senior prank was they collected a whole bunch of for sale signs throughout the city, and they put them all in the front of the school. So there must have been like 50 for sale signs that they were trying to sell the school.
We're practicing.
Yeah, right. I was practicing is what I was doing. Okay. That's so funny.
Bad influences.
Yeah, right.
There's like a trio of you that we're not. We're always up to something.
Yeah, you were always up to something. Always up to something. All right. Now, did you want to? Does anybody have any questions? or anything particular? Did you have something that you want to vent about in real estate that you need to tell,
Every freaking
you
day.
know, buyers or sellers or agents in general?
Oh, I don't want to.
I kind of felt like the opening here was venting a little bit.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that I come across for like agents, it's very clear that they're not up to date with the code of ethics or their licensing laws, and it shows. And they've been in the business a long time, and it just shows. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, no, my mom mentioned pricing my house fairly and honestly. No, that's partly what I was talking about at the beginning. Like I said, I more than once, and it's like it freaking gets me so upset. More than once, I've seen situations where someone comes to us, and I'm not talking like, hey, we're off by like our opinion versus their opinion is just a little bit. I'm talking about like did you even pull comps?
Yeah.
Did you actually look to see what actually sold, or did you just look at what you thought the neighborhood was supposed to give for the price?
Yeah, or not comparing them to the right houses.
Not comparing it to. Yeah. Like I said, I could keep going on this. I told my mom the other day, I was like, if I go off on this, I was like, I'm gonna have to bite my tongue and not go off, because it is very upsetting to see stuff like that.
I think so I primarily work with buyers, and that is a decision that I had made myself. I mean, I'll sell your house for sure, but I have made a conscious decision to work with buyers because a seller easily, they're just a lot harder to work with in general, I think. And like I've been in situations where the seller wants to sell the house at a certain amount, and it's like I'm telling them no, like the comps show not even close to that. And they go with another agent that's like, yeah, sure, I got you, but you can put it for that amount. It sits on the market, and then they end up selling it for what I told them it would sell for. It's like, but it stayed on the market 3-4 months. They paid all the money to their mortgage when they could have just sold it, got rid of it right away. I mean, obviously that doesn't happen as often because of the way the market is. But
yeah, these days it's not as often. These days it's more like, I don't know how much more it could go than this, but this is probably the bottom. Is usually what we're saying. Like, this is probably the least. I don't know how much more, but this is at least this amount.
But I think a lot of agents just don't know, are just willing to be like, yeah, obviously I want to sell the house for as much as possible. That is our goal. But there is a point that there is a limit, and buyers are smart these days. They know if they're overpaying for a house.
And you know what? And it's also not just, getting the highest offer, because the highest offer isn't always the best offer. The highest offer is not always the best offer. You got things like closing cost credits, deposit amounts, right? If I'm in a multiple offer situation, the deposit amount is important. If you're on the seller side, we got lead inspections happening. We got, what else is happening with this? What type of loan are you dealing with? FHA versus conventional. Are we concerned about FHA? Not concerned about FHA? It's not always about the price. It's not always about the price. And I've seen that happen before. And, especially with a seller and an agent, that they forget about a closing cost credit comes off the price.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've run into that. I mean, it's pretty rare. I've seen that once or twice.
And if the house is above so much, if the house doesn't appraise, they still need that credit.
Yeah. I've seen that once or twice where, another agent's, like, oh yeah, our offer was higher. Right. Well, what? No, it wasn't. You got $8,000 back in credits. It was actually lower. But because they didn't understand to explain that to their seller, now the seller actually accepted a lower offer, even though because they're looking at that total number.
Seeing the total, they don't understand the breakdown yet.
Yeah. Understanding that. Get a second opinion. Please get a second opinion.
This is a delicate conversation, your mom says.
Yes. Please get a second opinion.
I have strong opinions.
And ask for evidence. Why is that your opinion? Right? Why are you suggesting this general price range? All right. Why are houses selling faster? Even understanding month supply. Like when you first started, like when I first started, I didn't know what month supply was.
It took a while to understand what months of supply was.
What are you talking about? Month supply? Like, what are we talking about here? And a lot of agents have no clue what that is. Mm-hmm. They have no clue. Why is it about seller's market? Why is it a buyer's market? Why is that? If you look at month supply and if once you understand month supply, right? Now that you understand it, right? And we talk about how you compare it to other month supply, right? And how you're really seeing or getting a feel for demand and or the relationship between supply and demand, right? And that lower that month supply is there's more stress, right? There's just that much more demand than there is supply. Because a seller's market could be a seller's market. It's been a seller's market for like 4 years. And it's nothing to what it's been for the past year. I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
I just said that I actually brought up month supply in one of the mass appeal tapings that I did because I was asked why it was a seller's market. And I explained what the months of supply was and what a normal, if it was a balanced market would be compared to what it was now. And at that point, we were at 1.5 months of inventory.
Yeah. And people are like, what? When you explain it, that's when the eyes go like this.
So let's explain it. Your mom said, what's that? What's that? What's months of supply, Elias? What's months of supply?
What's months of supply? So it's essentially we look at the number of houses that are selling over a period of time versus the number of houses that are available over that time, right? That come on to the market or are available still on the market. And then that tells you, assuming no new houses come on the market, right? Assuming no new houses come on the market, how long will it take for all the remaining houses to sell? Now look at this number.
So James said 1.16 months, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
That's probably less now.
Yeah. It was 1.16 6 months ago. And now it's down to half a month.
Woo.
Yeah. And so that half a month, what that means is if no new houses showed up for the next month or never, all houses would be gone in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's Springfield. And we're talking, I think actually the Pioneer Valley altogether is at 0.9 months. Right? So the entire, area, 3 counties for what our association covers, Hampden County, Franklin, Hampshire, as a whole 0.9 months. Didn't we say there were some towns down to like 0.3?
Yep.
Like 0.3 months. That's crazy.
All the houses would be gone?
Yeah. Now, even when I say that, like, these half a months, it sounds like a seller's market, right? But all right, now let me explain to you that when we had less than 6 months, it was a seller's market. So if let's say instead of half a month, it was going to take 5 months, which you're like, wow, that's a decent amount of time, right? 5 months. We would still consider it a seller's market. The market would still be favoring sellers. At 5 months supply, we would still have more demand than we have for houses. All right. At 4.5 months, it would be even worse than that. At 4 months, it's even worse. 3.5, 3, 2, 1, half a month.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Isn't that crazy? It's such a short amount of time. I mean, when I first,
nowhere
near this.
That's what I feel like. I just.
So, if you want to sell your house, we sell houses. This is the time to sell your house.
My goodness. Hold on here. You want to know what I think about how low the inventory is?
Oh, yep.
That's what happens. Hold on here. I got a few more for you.
Oh, God.
I'm about to do a trick. I feel like I should do a backflip. No? Oh, hold on. This is an endless roll. I didn't do the one with the with the end. There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So
I got asked the other day on the news, like, how long do they think, or I don't think it made the segment, but she asked me how long I thought it was going to remain a seller's market. And I looked at the camera. I'm like, I know it's not going to end anytime soon. She's like, 1 year, 2 years. I'm like, maybe, probably. Like, this is crazy right now. Like, no, this is unprecedented times. We can know.
Would I tell everybody? It's all about supply and demand. So either it's not going to change until we either have way more houses show up,
or way less buyers.
Or we have way less buyers. Right now, I think at this point, we're more apt to be saved by more inventory as opposed to less buyers. Even though, with the rates going up, that will reduce buyers, but the demand has been there. It's been there. It's been there for years. We've been in a seller's market for how many years it's been. So we've been
5 years, and it's always been
So the buyers have been doing this. Do the inventory can it affect a comp price? Yes. Can the inventory affect a comparable price? It actually can. What we run into is that there's not enough inventory to compare it to. Right? If nobody's selling in your neighborhood, or you had one house sell in the last year, nobody else is selling, then you can't really compare it to other stuff. So I mean, you could potentially run into a situation where low inventory affects your ability to appraise your house or comp your house out, but that doesn't necessarily mean it won't sell, right? So buyers are different. Again, that same thing, but the market, whatever your market value is different from a CMA. It's different from an appraisal. It's different from an assessment. Those are all different things. And yes, not having enough inventory in an area can certainly affect your comparables. And actually, it's getting to the point. And I actually just did it. I guess I'll do a little plug now. So I got my website.
I was about to say
content.
I haven't yet.
We've got some content on there. All right, we've been doing some content. Hold on, I guess I'll share my screen. If I can even hold on here. All right. So what we're doing is, and actually this is going to be on Acuna Real Estate as well, but at the moment we've got a bunch of content and stuff like that we're building a library. Sellers, click here. All right.
I love it.
Defend yourself from a low appraisal. All right. So just some information about some stuff that sellers might find helpful. But I talked about in this video about what appraisers are doing now. They're actually, because we've always, and as you know, it's got to be sold, right? Got to be sold in order to compare it. We don't know what it's sold. We don't know. How can you use something that hasn't sold to then say, this is what your house is worth? Because we don't know what what it sold for. Oh, of course, I can't even find my mouse now. Stop sharing. I know exactly. It was in the other screen that I was sharing, and I'm thinking it's here. I've got 3 screens in front of me right now, so I'm going a little crazy. All right, so but appraisers are now using under agreements in order to
find out what it's under contract for? Can they legally?
Yeah. So what they're doing is they're contacting the listing agents and say, hey, can you give me an idea on what you're under contract for? Right. They also want to know how many offers. They're actually utilizing that information. Right. Because that indicates how much demand there was for this house. If they got offers, $200,000 house, and you got offers coming in at 240, 250, right? And then you find out, it was a multiple offer situation, but there was only 3 offers. Right. Okay. Somebody just went way too much. Obviously, somebody was just like, oh my God, I need this house. Like, what? Way too much. But they find out there was 30 offers. Well, then, that probably gives a little bit more weight to that really high price because there's a ton of demand. Right. So, as you know, appraisers are looking for data to support whatever is the value is, right? And they can't do that without data. Right. And if we're in a market where prices are increasing, you can never, when you really think about it, appraise to just what the comps are. Because if prices are going up, the comps are what sold yesterday. So therefore, if I'm only appraising to what sold yesterday, you can only go down in price. You can never go up in price. So appraisers have that ability to add value or go above what those comps are, but they need stuff to justify that. What's justifying this, right? Yes, the market is increasing, but is this particular neighborhood really increasing that much? Is this particular house really, priced in a way that it should have gone that much? And if they know you had, 30 offers versus they know you had 4 offers, that's a huge difference, right? And so for agents, that's important to know.
Yeah.
Right. And sellers, right? So there are things you can do, and check out the videos. All right. So there are things you can do in order to prepare yourself and to increase the chances that you're actually going to appraise, right? These aren't computers. These are people, which means there's opinion, which means opinion could possibly be influenced, right? Whether or not it's subconsciously or whatever it is. As the simplest thing as being nice to an appraiser could affect a value, right? Not to say you're going to get $20,000 added onto the value, but hey, if you're short by a little bit, right? You're short by like $1,000 or $2. You might, hey, we're good, right?
And I think also on the buyer side, like I said, I work mostly with buyers, and I have a couple offers out there that are $20,000 over asking price. And one of the things I do before writing this offer is I look at the neighborhood. Is the house going to appraise or be close to that $20,000? Because you have to pay for the inspection beforehand. You have to pay for the appraisal. If I know that in that neighborhood that I can't justify that $20,000 increase, then you could potentially be wasting your inspection money, your appraisal money, just to find out that the house isn't going to appraise and the seller is not going to come down in price or not going to work with you, especially if you need closing credits.
Yeah, especially if you need closing credits. No, that's definitely important.
The buyers that are willing to go $50,000 over asking price, but it's like, wait a minute, like, yeah, I would love to sell you that house $50,000 over asking price, but that doesn't look like it's going to work in this neighborhood.
Well, there are some buyers who have that strategy of thinking that they'll just go that high, and then when it doesn't appraise, it'll just come down, and they're never gonna pay the $50,000 above. Like they're banking on that's not gonna appraise. And then when it does appraise, they're complaining, oh, I got to get out of this deal somehow. Like,
Yep. That's where a good realtor comes into play, is, kind of setting you free on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What's messed up? I really, April was, I wanted to play some games with April today. But we had technical difficulties right as we were getting on. We could not get her microphone set up. But hold on here. I just want to make sure you can say hello. So look at what I even did. Like I even did this whole setup so I could come out and say, "Hey, bro."
Hi.
See, I was all ready to go. All ready to do this. But yeah, next time we'll have to figure out figure that out before. I'm sorry.
Why can't she come closer? Come, April. Come closer. Come.
Oh, she likes to see what it is she likes this comfy chair that
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking about that. I was like, maybe I'll get like another headset like this, and then I'll just have to make her sit next to me next time. I said I could tell she can't hear me right now because she don't have the headphones on. She just hears me talking, but she don't hear you. All right. Question.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this, our buyer purchasing home I could do the high appraisals. Oh, are they closing with equity? It's tough to say. It really is tough to say.
Unless they're putting 20% down and it's a conventional loan, you kind of built in.
Yeah. No, she's thinking like it depends on what you're talking about, right? If you're putting enough money down, then yeah, you've got equity because that's the cash that you put into the property, right? But if you're talking about, hey, did I close today? Now it's already worth more money today. Possibly, because when you consider the market is increasing and values did go up month to month, you could possibly be in a scenario where you go under contract something today, and by the time you're closing in 2 months, the values have gone up a couple of percentage, right? So yes, you could possibly have some equity, but in reality, do you really have any equity until you actually do something with it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That equity is not. It's meaningless unless you're utilizing it somehow. If it's just so until you go to sell or refinance or touch it somehow or use it as an asset to back something, I mean, it's not really.
The bank won't let you touch the equity until you're out.
Yeah, exactly. You close, yeah, it's worth $5,000 more because you close, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna feel the refinance or do anything with that at this point, right? But it's very possible. It's very possible, and it's very possible to get something negotiated down. There is this sweet window of opportunity for houses that are sitting there for too long, that have been overpriced, because as we know, if a house is priced right, it goes over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a basic example, let's say comps are saying it's worth 100, right? So we priced it at 100, sells for 115, right? Instead, seller listed at 120, even though the comps are saying 100. Doesn't get any bites. Sits there until he finally does a price reduction to 110. And then maybe gets an offer at 110, because he does the price reduction, it triggers whatever. I mean, if you just start with a lower price, you could have sold it for more in some cases, right? Because
the buyers fight over it.
The buyers fight over it because it's brand new. Once it's been sitting there and somebody comes along, I'm coming along, take a look at this house. Nobody else is interested. Looks like an opportunity to negotiate. It's been sitting here on the market. Looks like an opportunity to negotiate. That's what I teach my buyers. Those are the opportunities to negotiate. It's been on the market for more than 3 weeks. That's an opportunity to negotiate. Why has it been on the market for 3 weeks? I mean, yes, hey, there are some situations where houses are on the market for 3 weeks and there's no opportunity. Maybe you couldn't get in, or maybe there was a some situation, right? It could have been something odd, especially if you have tenants or anything like that. But price your house right the first time, and you can avoid, time delays, possibly make more money by pricing it less in some situations, right? Less hassle. Go based on what the expert's telling you. If they've got comps, go based on the comps.
The house was on the market, I think 45 days. Obviously, that's a long time for a house to be on the market these days. And the guy was at 245, and we got it under contract for 210. The inspection didn't come out well, and we were like, we want a price reduction again because it was pretty bad. And the agent tells me that the seller lost from 245 to it was like 40 grand already, and that they already lost because of this and all that. I was like, no, that's not how this works. You incorrectly priced the property, and that is what caused the problem.
No, I love that. I love that.
Right?
I already came down $500,000. I started my house at 600 grand. It's only worth 50.
Yeah.
But I came down 600. That's a deal. What?
I had to tell the agent. I was like, it's not my fault. The house was incorrectly priced. And the market told you that after about a week, the market was like not happening. You reduced it grand, and it kept coming down. It was like, you were wrong.
Yeah, they're repeating what the seller's saying to them, because that's what the seller's saying. I already came down 50 grand.
Yeah, I'm already losing
price that you recommend. Why did you let me list it for that higher price? Because what happens is when the seller overprices a property, that's supporting evidence that potentially could be worth that much. So now you've given them some sort of hope, and you're not there to give hope. You're there to give reality. Hey, this is what the data says. I did this in the beginning of my career once, where I overpriced the house. Never again. I
better go a little under.
I'm pretty sure I've told you this story. It was a situation where I had CMA'd the property at 175. Right, so I had suggested we list at 179. Very reasonable. It was the CMA was coming up in the 170s, 175 and 179, somewhere in there. She wanted to list it for 250.
Oh, geez, yeah, been there.
250. But I was a newer agent. I didn't, and it was also the person who it was kind of like a family friend type of situation. So it's okay, but I showed the comps, and they were just like, well, I see what you're saying, but my house is just so unique. And my house is just so much better that this is what it's worth. Okay. I was like, all right, I'll do it, but if it doesn't sell, we're gonna try. You're gonna have to work with me, right? You're gonna have to work with me. We'll have to come down. Again, I was suggesting 179, 250. Put it on the market for 250. I did like 10 open houses. I kept every weekend. You doing another open house? Doing another open house? Doing another open house? You still have this open house?
Open. Nobody's coming.
Where are the offers? I got an offer at, I think it was at one. I want to say 185.
Oh wow! Okay.
Oh, that's above what I was thinking. 185. Oh my god! All right. No way. We're at 250. 250. All right. Okay. We went. We were coming up to the expiration of our contract, and they didn't want to drop the price. Not dropping the price. Finally came to an expiration, and then they relisted it a week later at 179.
Oh god!
With somebody else.
Yeah.
179 at 179. After I did like 10 open houses. After I multiple times said we needed to drop the price, I showed them all the evidence, brought them an offer at 185, and then they relisted it a week later at 179.
I wonder what that agent told them that made them realize that they were wrong.
You know, I think they realized that they were wrong, but didn't want to admit it to me. So they went with somebody else.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, because I had been so like, this is it. There was no way that I was, okay, maybe I was saying it differently, but another agent came along, gave you the same price that I did, but they somehow convinced you with their comparables, which are the same as mine.
They didn't want to come to you with their tail between their legs going, yeah, you're wrong. Yeah.
No, I've seen that before. I've seen that happen. And, you know, I've gotten listings that way where you come along and they're like, oh, you know, they didn't sell it. And I'm just like, it was just overpriced. The agent's mistake was not educating you properly. And the agent's mistake was taking the listing in the first place with somebody that wasn't at least considering their advice.
Yeah.
Because think about it. We advise people throughout this. And if somebody is not going to listen to my advice, what the heck am I doing? Why am I involved? Why am I involved? You know, we once canceled a contract with the seller one time that I can think of. Because the seller made it very clear that they didn't trust us. Like, very clear. We brought in, like, and there was nothing. We hadn't done anything. We brought them an offer, and there was closing costs being asked for. The seller didn't understand. We explained about how that works, and we were essentially accused of trying to do something illegal. And I was just like, really? And even after trying to explain it, he didn't trust us. So, you know what? Done. Cancel the contract. I'm not going to work with you. Why am I? And he didn't. And the guy was like, what? Like, you can't do that. I'm like, why can't I do that?
I just did.
Why would I work with you? Yeah. Why would I work with you? You don't, you're like arguing with me over and like accusing me. And like, why would I work with you? You don't trust me. I'm here to guide you and advise you. If you're not going to listen to my advice, or if you're thinking everything I'm saying to you is wrong, why do you want to work with me? Like, what kind of mentality is that? Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm going to put this up just because we got a little review here. Hey, having worked with you for a home purchase, I can't see why they would leave to do what you suggested.
Exactly.
Right? Oh my goodness.
That's what I mean. What we do. And you said it earlier before we went. We thought we were live, but we weren't. That 2 minutes you were talking about. You know, we're not salespeople, and I hate when people tell me that we're salespeople. It's like, yeah, we sell houses, but we are a trusted advisor, and that's what we do. And if you don't trust who you're working with, and I talk about in first-time homebuyer classes, you have to trust the person that you're working with. This is the most money you'll ever spend in your life. You want to work with somebody you trust. Hands down.
Exactly. Very important. Very important. You know, we actually went a little bit longer than we normally did, and we didn't even play games.
Oh, we just got lost in conversation.
Yeah, you know, I didn't even. Yeah, I had a couple of other things I was going to bring up today, but I was just like, you know what? I'm going to start yelling into the microphone. And it's probably not a good thing for me.
Now I'm curious. I don't think I've ever heard you or seen you yell. So
not yelling, but venting. You know what I'm saying? Just getting loud and just like, are you serious? Like, this is what's going on with people in this business. Like, you know, I can't even, like, don't even get me started with some of these forums, you know, that you know exactly what I'm talking about too. You know, just you know, and like I almost want to do a whole, and I wrote it down for some of the ideas that we can do for our lives this year, and I'm like, we could do a whole freaking one on just the ridiculousness happening in some of these forums with agents. And it's scary in a sense. And you know, it's scary. And I would say agents, your brokers are there for a reason. All right. If you have your broker should be the person that you go to first, right? They're there for a reason. All right. And if you don't have the ability or don't think you can go to your broker, that's a whole nother question, right? That's a whole nother, you know, something you should be considering as part of your business. But, you know, online forums are open to the world. And these are things that are being put in writing, which, you know, sometimes it's funny because sometimes it's ignorance, just, you know, hey, you get the funny questions here once in a while. But other times it's just like, how do you not, or you should know. Yeah. You should know.
And just because they're private forums,
that you shouldn't say certain things.
I see some things and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, we'll stay here for another 2 hours right now if we start getting into this, because I'm telling you, no, we need to wrap it up. I'm actually going to play some cards tonight. I'm going to show you these just because I think these are cool. They have nothing to do with real estate. They got nothing to do with real estate, but I think these are so cool. These are my new playing cards, right? Nice. These are the cards, right? But
those are nice.
These are cool, right? But check these out, right?
Those are sick. Where'd you get those?
I bought them online on Amazon, actually. So I'm bringing them to my buddy's house tonight. We're gonna be playing some pitch.
You're not saying don't inhale.
Yeah. So we're gonna tell Tim to don't inhale. Social media is a hell of a truck. Yeah. We play pitch every once in a while over there, and he I don't know if you played the game, but every once in a while he's messed up because he has his doesn't have his glasses on or something.
Oh, so now you're really gonna mess them up? Wow.
Bring a new set of cards.
That is so messed up.
And you can barely, you really gotta look. These are so cool. I'm telling you, when you see these in person, they're really cool. Actually, they're really cool. And what's cool is when you're playing and you're shuffling, you can't see what the card is, because sometimes when we're playing, you can see.
You can look under. Yeah.
Look under, like, oh man, I know they got 7 of hearts. Like, oh, okay, but I can't do that with these. So anyways, I'm bringing him over there tonight. April wants me to film his reaction because she knows that he's not going to like these cards. So she's already told me, film it. Film it
and post it.
Yeah, that's funny. All right. I guess we're going to wrap it up for today. I know we didn't play any games, and we said we were going to play games, but next time we'll actually hopefully have April all set. I need to get a really good better headphones apparently so she can get in on this, but next time again we'll just be doing more topics, and hopefully we'll have some games. We'll see if April will actually host. She thinks it's unfair that I usually know the answers, so she wants to level the playing field.
Nice, I love it. Yes.
Yeah, so she's gonna hopefully level the playing field, and we'll put her in the seat of asking the questions.
Try to stump
and see if she can stump us, and then I don't know, we'll come up with a couple of cool things. I got a couple of other ideas for other games that we might be able to play with, so we'll see how that goes. Always exciting, and thank you as always, everybody, and we will get out there and do it. All right, guys. We'll be here again 2 weeks. We're trying to do this on a routine. Hopefully we'll be here 2 weeks. If not, you'll get the notice. We'll see you guys later. Bye.